everyone here. Thank oh, okay, now we're recording. It's great to start the meeting with a little fun. So that was very fun. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that everybody is here with us. And we have a really quite a full agenda today. So I'm looking forward to just having everyone. And I did put the agenda in the chat, although I think I sent it just to Maurice, but I mean, not to Maurice, to Tyrone, but it's now in the chat. So if anyone wants to see it, you definitely can see the agenda. And we're going to start our agenda with introducing our functionaries and our roles for the meeting. For those of you that are new to Toastmasters, the Toastmaster meeting is comprised of 3 parts. It's prepared speeches, impromptu speaking, which is table topics, and then feedback, which are basically evaluations. And the evaluations, to me, is one of the most important parts of a Toastmaster meeting, because that is how we learn and how we grow, by getting feedback about how we did with our filler words, how we did with our grammar, how we did with our prepared speeches, as well as how did we do with our time. It's so important to be aware of how much time you have and to be able to stay within that time frame. And one of our guests here, Mark Williams, can definitely tell you about that, because he's been at the World Championship of Public Speaking stage several times. And if he goes over that by just 1 second, it's like disqualified. So you must stay within those time frames when you're in competition, but also in a board meeting. One of the things that I've always said is that when you're called upon to speak at a meeting, if you go overtime, people are just going to zone you out, tone you out, start looking at their phones, go to the restroom, whatever, start chatting amongst themselves, because it gets boring. Unless you have something super dynamic to say, it's going to get boring. So without any further ado, let me introduce our grammarian, Tyrone Morrison.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Tyrone Morrison, and I've been a Toastmaster for some time. The word of the day is convivial, C-O-N-V-I-V-I-A-L, and it means cheerful, friendly, lively, and enjoyable. For example, this is a convivial holiday party. I wish we had a holiday party, because I'm sure if we do, it'll be quite convenient, because you have a lot of friendly folks here. And again, I'm looking for that word in all your speeches. So take care, have a wonderful speech, and I'm looking, because I have a lot of convenient folks in front of me. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Tyrone. And then we also have our counter, Miss Vicky Moore, and she'll tell us what her role entails. Vicky, the floor is yours.
As an counter, I'm going to keep a record of any ahs, oohs, and and so, any ands and buts in your speeches. I look forward to enjoying your speeches and watch those.
Thank you so much for that. And I've changed my background from a holiday background to a timer background, because I am going to be your timer this evening. And so when we do our prepared speeches, we have Jackie giving a 5 to 7 minute speech. So at the 5-minute mark, I will give her the green. At the 6-minute, I will give her the yellow. And then at the 7-minute, I will show her the red. And she knows that at that point, she has 30 seconds or less to wrap it up. And then for our table topics, at the 1-minute mark, I will show the green. At the 1.5-minute mark, I will show the yellow. And at the 2-minute mark, I will show the red. Table topics, you must speak a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 2 minutes, although there's a little leeway, maybe another 30 seconds, but try to keep it within 1 to 2 minutes. Then our evaluations will be 2 minutes green, 2.5 minutes yellow, 3 minutes red. And we may also have a icebreaker speech, which is 4 to 6 minutes. So at the green at the 4, 5 yellow, 6 red. And that is what I will be doing as your timer today, amongst other things. But let me just give me a second here. So I grab a pad so I make sure I keep everybody's, and a working pen. That's always helpful to have a working pen. Okay. So maybe Maurice, do you want to sort of introduce our guest to our meeting this evening?
I would love to. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Mark Williams is an accomplished Toastmaster, a distinguished Toastmaster that works in the New York City civil service system and has transformed countless lives in leading educational obstacles that transform our paradigm. He is a leader that is well respected and a Black man that I consider a mentor and friend. Mark, please join us in coming to the podium and celebrating and celebrating us with your message. Thank you, Mark. Welcome.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests. Oh, it is so awesome to be back here with TIP Toastmasters, except for one thing. I got to tell you, I'm selfish in this. I so miss those days when we were together in the same room. I'm telling you right now, the day is going to come when we are all back in the same room, and I can't wait to give hugs and be in front of everybody and talk silly messages and answer table topics, crazy questions, and all that stuff. I've always told people that I absolutely enjoy being a member of Toastmasters. It is a family affair. It is a family reunion. And one of the greatest opportunities that I had this summer, besides being on the world stage, was turning around and seeing my good sister Evelyn over there. I'm giving you hugs from so far away. I love you. And I love seeing all of your faces. And tonight, I just wanted to take an opportunity to share a thought about why we're ultimately here. Maurice had asked if I could speak for a few moments, and we originally thought this was going to be an open house, and then we were talking about the club success plan, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking that 12 years ago, I can't believe it had been 12 years now, Pablo, since I have been a member of Toastmasters International. But it all started out with a conversation with a coworker. And that coworker asked, had I ever heard about how to become a professional speaker? And Stephanie, I did not have an answer because I didn't even know that was such a thing. And so we started watching these videos about the field of professional speaking. And the facilitator kept saying this one thing over and over and over and over again. And that one thing, Tyrone, was join Toastmasters, join Toastmasters, join Toastmasters. So I'm like, what is this Toastmasters thing, Jackie? I look it up, I find a club, I go as a guest, and I do what most guests do, which is probably a whole lot easier in a virtual world. I sat in the back of the room and hoped to go unnoticed. I just wanted to see what this whole thing was about. But it wasn't Evelyn, but it might as well have been Evelyn who called me to the front of the room to read the mission statement. And there was something about the words in the statement and something about the vibe in the room that helped me to understand that I did not want to just keep showing up as a guest. I wanted to be a member. But it wasn't until I got here that I really understood why I'm here. And as I encourage you all to think about why you're here, why you came in the first place, why do you keep coming back? Evelyn, why do you keep coming back? Maurice, why do you keep coming back? One of the first reasons that I discovered why I keep coming back kind of goes back to what Maurice asked me right at the beginning. He said, do you want an evaluator? Of course I want an evaluator. Because when I first gave my first couple of speeches, here's what I heard, Vicki. You know, I like what you had to say, but when you talk, you move your hands around a lot. When you're talking in front of us, you move your feet around so much, it looks like you're dancing in front of the room. I mean, man, you got so much energy. And it's true. I got a lot of energy because I get excited when I'm up here. But a lot of the people that I've met along the way have helped me so much in terms of how to manage my movement and my energy and to be polished. And I learned very quickly that while many of us come here because we want to practice giving speeches, because we want to practice constructing a message, the truth is the greatest value in being here at Toastmasters is not in giving speeches. It's in receiving feedback. It's in hearing things that will help us to grow and to become better communicators and leaders. This is why I keep coming back. I have to tell you, Jackie, I must confess, I don't remember the last time I actually did a Pathway speech. I got my DTM and I'm like, I'm just showing up to club meetings. I'm listening to speeches. I'm listening to feedback. I have to tell you, my favorite part of coming to Toastmasters now is listening to the evaluations. As a matter of fact, I think here's what we should start doing, especially if we want to become more successful clubs. I so appreciate all of the love that I've received from taking this journey to become a world champion speaker. But we invite a lot of champion speakers to our clubs to be guest speakers. But what if we started tapping into all of those people who compete in the evaluation contest? What if we started inviting them to our clubs to be guest evaluators so that we can give our guests and our members some world-class level feedback? And what if, instead of when we give an evaluation, we tell people like Pablo what we think you should do better, and we ask Pablo way before you ever start, Pablo, if you could pick one thing that you'd like to do better as far as your communication skills are concerned, what would it be? And then let's give Pablo and Stephanie and Jackie and Vicki and Lisa and Tyrone and Evelyn and Maurice, let's give them the feedback in the areas in which they wish to grow. Because you can come here and give 101 speeches. You can come here and compete in 1,000,001 contests. You could very well go on to become the world champion of public speaking or an accredited speaker or distinguished Toastmaster, all you want. But without the feedback, you'll never be as good as you have all of the potential in the world to be. So why are we here? Yeah, to give some speeches. Why are we here? Yes, to give it over this fear of public speaking. Why are we here? Yes, to be convivial and to network with all these new people who we've never met before, who may very well change our lives. But the biggest reason why we're here is to grow. And you grow by getting feedback. So in 2024, let everybody know the areas in which you want to grow. Let everybody know the name of a coach or an evaluator who you heard gave a dynamite feedback or piece of evaluation, and invite them back to give you and others great feedback. And whether you're speaking at a meeting or not, take note of all the evaluations and everything that they say, and understand that when somebody evaluates Stephanie, the feedback that they're giving Stephanie is going to help us all. My fellow Toastmasters and guests, tonight I want you to think about why you're here. Tonight I want you to think about why you'll keep coming back. And when I come back to Tip Toastmasters in 2024, I look forward to being there in person, getting feedback, giving feedback, and giving back. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. That was wonderful. I greatly appreciate your message. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's the feedback. Like I said in the beginning of the meeting, feedback is one of the most important. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's what we're here for. So thank you so much for reinforcing that message. And now we will go on to our next speaker. And we have our very own distinguished Toastmaster, Jackie Brown. She's doing a speech from the Effective Coaching Path, and it's level 2, Introduction to Toastmaster Mentoring. Jacqueline Brown, it's all in my head. It's all in my head. Jacqueline Brown, the virtual stage is yours.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. It is so good to see my tipsters here and to see Mark and persons that I haven't met in person. It's just really good to see you all. Although I must admit, I did not know you were going to come, the visitors, and I thought that it was going to be my tipsters. So I had to thank Maurice for inviting a crowd to come in today to hear what I have to say. The speech I'm doing is called It's All in My Head because my assignment was to write a speech about being a protege. Well, that was a problem because I was never a protege. I never had a mentor, not an official mentor. I didn't have a mentor at work. I did have a mentor at Toastmasters, but we didn't have a very close relationship. So I picked my mentors in my head. They're all in my head. I have several. And while I was at work, one of the main things that I did, because I did not have a mentor, was I looked at other people that were supervisors and people that were in charge, administrators and such, and I took all their good points. And when I became a supervisor, I used those good points and I dismissed their bad points. There were things I said, I would never do that when I become a supervisor. So that's kind of how, that's not mentorshipping. That's just, I guess, what I would call basic common sense. I don't know. I'm not sure. But tonight I'm going to mention Toastmasters that are in my head that I learned a lot from. So one person in particular knows that she was my mentor in my head, and that's Linda Barnes. And Linda Barnes was the director of the MEA. When I first joined Toastmasters in January of 2013, I believe, Linda was the director for the MEA. You had to be an MEA member at that time. And what Linda would do, she would come around to different city agencies to recruit for MEA. And when I saw her, I worked for the Parks Department for many years. And when she came to the Parks Department, I see this woman get up and she spoke so eloquently. I was taken aback because there weren't many people in my agency that had that talent. And she was, to me, flawless. No ums, no filler words, got to the point, very focused. The flow was amazing. She got to the point. The only thing that I didn't like was the fact that I was there and maybe 2 or 3 other people from Parks. So she had little audience, but she gave the biggest speech to me that she could have ever given. And I was just taken aback by all of that because I was just like, it really amazed me. So she's always been a mentor in my head. Plus, she was always well dressed, always businesslike, always knew like how to say what I'm thinking was in her mind. May have been not a gracious thing to do or say, but when she vocalized it, it just came out so gracefully. And I was like, wow, how does she do that? Now, I must admit, Linda did not give a lot of speeches with Toastmasters, but had someone followed her through the different 8 agencies. If someone would have followed her through different agencies, they would have been able to use her speeches so that she could have gained a lot of headway as far as being a Toastmaster. The other person that is a mentor in my head is Evelyn. Now, early on when I was a Toastmaster, even though I would do plenty of speaking in my role at Parks Department, I had to do training, I had to do different speaking parts, right? So I was kind of used to it, but when I got up to speak as a Toastmaster, I would shake, my knees are wobbling, and I'm shaking, I'm nervous, I'm trying to act like I'm cool, and I'm not on the inside. Everything's exploding, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to calm myself down. Evelyn goes to the back of our meeting room, and she just gives me a smile. She stands up, she gives me a smile. I'm like, well, that was very mentor-like to me. So Evelyn's, and people that know Evelyn is the hardest working Toastmaster I personally know. And she is just one that is just, you ask her to do something, she does it. One time I was in a crunch where I had to perform as a person. We had, oh gosh, I can't remember the conference. And I was a conference chair. And I had to take a test for a civil service test. And I couldn't be at the conference on time. I said, Evelyn, can you help me? Yeah, I can help you. I have to do this. And she did. She did an amazing job. And now the third person that I have as a mentor in my head, who you're not going to believe, and that is Mr. Mark Williams. Mark Williams was our coach, our club coach for, I guess it was a year or so. And Mark, he's just amazing. Like he said, he has a lot of energy. This guy, oh my gosh. And one time I was at a conference and Mark spoke about when he was younger and he was a little shy. And then towards the end, he dropped his pants. And I'm like, oh, and he had on pants underneath, of course. But I was like, whoa. So that was my first introduction to Mark. And then when he became our club coach, he really gave some really good insight. And he also has a website, I believe, and he would invite me to the website. I was listening to what he had to say. He gave a lot of good information on public speaking, not just being a Toastmaster, but actual public speaking. So what I'm going to do now real quick is I just want to share my screen with you. For those of you who do not know Linda, can you see that okay? This is Linda. This is Linda Barr. She retired maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not completely sure how long ago that was. And who else do I have here? Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I'm going to try. Here we go. Mark Williams, my other mentor in my head, and Miss Evelyn Marrero. So that tells you a little bit about how I was able to really improve my public speaking with these mentors in my head. Fellow Toastmaster, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie. That was a wonderful speech. And I just want to add one tiny little thing to that. Not only does Mark have a website, but for the past, I want to say 3 years, Mark has been sending out daily messages to everyone on his mailing list, which I'm sure is a humongous mailing list. And it's an inspirational message asking you to think about something and speak about it during the day. And so every day he comes up and there's a graphic with it and there's a message with it. And then there's this encouraging, inspiring message that says, go out there and use your voice, because that's what Toastmasters is all about, finding your voice and using it. So just thank you so much for letting us know that Mark has been also your mentor in addition to Linda, and to my surprise, myself. So thank you so much for that. Our third speaker is Miss Liza Bowers, and she will be doing a speech on the path of effective coaching. The project is her icebreaker speech. It's a 4 to 6 minute speech. So, Liza Bowers, why I run, Liza Bowers. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, tip members, guests. It is nice to actually be here talking to you. My name is Liza Bowers. I am part of Toastmasters because I do wish to grow. So Mark's speech actually resonated with me. And it's also part of why I run, which is what I wanted to share with people today. So if you had told me some years ago that this past November, I would have ran my 5th New York City Marathon and 9th marathon all over, overall, I would have said, no way, that would never have happened. About 10 years ago, I first started running, and I could not run one city block. I really couldn't run half a block, but I had friends who encouraged me and said, that's all you have to do. Just do just a little bit, do what you can, and then you can walk the rest. And so from not being able to run one city block, I can now run 26.2 miles over and over again. So the first reason why I run was because it was an opportunity to challenge myself, to learn, to do something outside of my comfort zone, and to see progress bit by bit, but realize that if I stay with it, that I can grow and get better. The second reason why I run is I am normally an introvert. You all might not know that, but I often think that I am socially challenged. My sister is an extrovert, and I used to tease people and say, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have any friends, because she was always outgoing and would introduce me to people. Running, though, has given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people and make connections and be able to be social. I was surprised by the fact that running races, I actually found myself enjoying being in crowds. It's the only time I actually like being around a variety of people that I don't know. And I have become fairly sociable in the running community. So I run with a variety of clubs and see people that I know at various races. So I keep coming back for that. If you ask me, do I like to run? I would probably say, not really, but it's all the other things that running has brought to me that makes me stick with it and be consistent. It is also the fact that when you show up for marathons, especially New York City, the atmosphere is convivial. It is a block party from start to finish, especially in good weather. So this past November, the weather was amazing. Everybody was out. And so it was great to be able to see friends and supporters and people who are encouraging you. You'll see signs that say, go random stranger. And I think it is the best time in New York City. And I always wish that people were like they are on marathon day every day, because you have random strangers rooting for you, telling you that you can do it, that you are going to finish it no matter what. I've also learned that if I start, no matter how I am feeling, if I step up to the start, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what my body is going to be able to do. Every year we do this, I'm a year older. It gets a little bit harder, but I show up anyway. So I find that showing up, just as in anything else in life, will get us to where we need to go. And the mantra that I usually use, especially once I get to mile 13 or so, is keep moving forward. Even if it hurts, even if it's hard, if I keep moving forward, I am going to get to the end there will be a finish line. I will be able to see my achievement. I just have to keep going. Finally, I have learned that if I trust myself, trust God, that there will be somebody along the way who is supporting me and who will have whatever it is that I need during that run. There is always somebody, whether it's I needed a tissue at the moment, I needed a hug, I needed words of encouragement, I needed somebody with a foam roller to say, I'm going to help you get this cramp out, even if I have never met you before. Whatever it is that I have needed has been there along the way. I also have been able to encourage other people to start where they are. So one of the achievements that I have for running is not just my own achievements, but I have had running groups that I have started or walking groups, and I have encouraged other people to run marathons. So I have had my sister and some friends who never used to run either finish a marathon and train with them and help encourage them. So that's part of the reason why I thought that this would all tie in, and why maybe the pathway that I should choose is effective coaching, because I've been able to motivate other people just by doing what I do. And I think finally that's it. Sometimes we just need to figure out what it is that we want to do, what is working for us, and how we can use that to benefit others. So those are the reasons why I run. And I thank you all for joining me and listening.
Thank you so much, Liza. That was wonderful. And if any of you were watching the marathon this year, our very own Liza Bowers was interviewed on Channel 7, Eyewitness News. So, hey, she was definitely on that stage and she was running. And we're so proud of her. As a tip member, we are so proud to call her our own, very own tipster.
Thank you.
Now we've come to the, you're very welcome, sweetie. Now we've come to the part that most people enjoy in a meeting more than other parts. And that is our table topics. And today we have our very own Maurice Laureano as our table topics master. So Maurice, take it away.
Hello and hello again. Thank you for having me. I am going to get right into it for the sake of time, because I don't know, we may only have time for like 3 or 4 questions, but I'll start with the question, who is counting on you? Who's counting on you? Tyrone, can you come on camera and tell us who's counting on you? Tyrone?
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and honored guests. This is a very important question. Who is counting on me? It's also a convivial type of question, because I need to be, one of the things I need to be a convivial person so that people can follow me. But I would say right now, the person who is counted on me more so than ever is my daughter, Crystal, who currently live with me. Although there's a difference between us, she being female, I being male, but I see a lot of similarities in her. Sometimes she a little bit overbearing, and I'm wondering who is a parent and who is a child. But I see that she followed me a lot, especially in her work ethic. Currently, she's a school teacher, and the way she operates is similar to the way I operate when I was in the service. Like in her case, like a drill sergeant. And I also see she also is a soccer fan as well. She loves the Red Bull. As a matter of fact, this weekend we're going to the Red Bull yard sale. And she said, Dad, we got to go. And next year, she said, Dad, we got to go see Messi play at Red Bull Arena. So again, she is counted on me, and I could see she's following, doing a lot of stuff in my footsteps. She said she didn't want to join the service because she didn't like boot camp. But one thing she says, living with me is like being in boot camp because I always yell at her. So, but I'm just trusting God that, she can, find a husband and get out of here because, Get out of here. Because I see, I remember she had a boyfriend and she dropped the boyfriend because he didn't measure up to me. So again, she is counted on me. Fellow Toastmaster, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyrone. I would say any of us who are parents can relate to what you're saying. And as a father of a 23-year-old daughter, I was so happy when she decided to go out of state for college. And then when she said she's never coming back to New York, and I'm like, woohoo! You know? And then my son got a girlfriend, and I was he and his girlfriend was like, well, you can't live at home. And I was like, woohoo! So I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And if you guys don't know, Messi's the right now the #1 soccer player in the world. And she said, Dad, we got to go early next year, to see Messi. So, yep.
Tyrone, I'm going to go to the next question. Thank you. And I dropped it in the chat a little bit too soon. But so what is the name of a movie or show that has made an impact in how you live? And I'll give an example. Like for me, it's The Cosby Show, right? Okay. For me, it's Good Times. Okay. Vicky, what's your show? Vicky, what's a show that's made an impact on you and how you make your life choices? Come off mute and tell us, please. Vicky, we lost you. I'm going to see if I can prompt you to come off mute.
Here I am.
There you go.
Can you
Thank
hear me?
Okay, yes.
Sorry.
You need to
Why
repeat
did I?
Yeah, go for it.
No, I don't need to repeat the question. I said to myself, why'd she pick me? And you did. And in my head, I thought To Kill a Mockingbird. I like that movie so much because I thought Atticus Finch really thought about the impact of other people. He took into account that people weren't able to afford legal counsel, but that they needed representation. And he respected them as a fellow human being. There's so many movies and shows that I could say influenced me because I'm an old movie buff. And I also like old television shows, which most people will probably not remember. Movies, shows like Hazel. Hazel came on with Shirley Booth. Like I was like about 6 years old looking at it, but I always thought she was hilarious. But I looked at it recently and I thought, why was I watching that show? But I'll still stick with To Kill a Mockingbird and just say that it taught me to look for the quality and the content of a person rather than thinking of the circumstances. We jump to judgment and we think that people who may have had a criminal background or an illicit background, but we don't think about the person and the circumstances that have brought them into that situation. That has been my influence, and I pray that everyone who meets me and those that I meet fall into that same category, that they accept each other for what they are. Thank you.
OMG, deep, like bomb drop, like can drop the mic? Okay, drop the virtual mic, bomb. Thank you, Vicky. You know why I call on you, because that's what you make us do. Thank you. Stephanie, I'm gonna give you a little heads up though. This is for you, okay? I'm I'm tossing you the ball like a little like we do in softball, okay? Just like soft bat here. Are you successful? Stephanie, are you successful?
Hello. I was not expecting to speak at this meeting. It's my first meeting, but I'm very happy to be here and thank you all for having me. To the question, am I successful? I think that it depends how you define success. But on my personal definition of successful, I would say yes. What is that definition? I think that I define success based off of A, how happy I am. And of course, life is full of ups and downs and you can't always be happy, but I think I'm happier than I'm sad, and that is success for me. In addition to that, I would define success based off of how much joy I bring other people. And I would hope that those in my life would say that I bring them a lot of joy and comfort. And I really strive to do that. So, yes, I would say I am successful. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an amazing response. All right. I know we're limited on time, so I'm going to throw it back to the Toastmaster. I told you we'd be limited, but guess what? You can come the first Monday of every month, and I'll promise to be here to do something like this again. Toastmaster Evelyn, please.
We're going to hold you to that, Maurice. So thank you so much for that. All right. Those were very entertaining questions and thought-provoking as well. So thank you, our Table Topics Master. We now go to the evaluation portion, which, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I happen to think is one of the most important parts of the meeting. So give me just 1 second to reset my clock, because I believe I am the first evaluator for our speaker, Mark Williams. So here we go. So Mark brought with us, okay, what are you, oh, you're taking notes. Oh, don't take notes, Mark. So Mark brought with us, Mark spoke to us about the value of evaluation, how it's important to get that feedback in order for us to get innovative ideas and learn how to be better at whatever it is that we're doing. And he did that with a lot of examples, which is a good way to do a speech, is to give an example. He also gave us stories. He gave us gestures. He spoke to us about how one of his first evaluations, you have all of this hand movement. And yes, gestures are important, but not when you're flailing. And that's because when you're flailing, you're distracting from your very own message. So it's important to always be on point. Vocal variety is also very important, and he spoke a little bit about that as well, and about other people. And I have to say that I wasn't really prepared to evaluate you yet, Mark, because when I asked Maurice to introduce our guest, I thought he was going to introduce all the guests, and then we were going to get into the speeches. But he introduced you and you got into the speech, and that completely took me off. But as Toastmasters, we're always prepared. So we pivot. Oh, okay, he's doing a speech. Okay, gotcha. And we went right into that. It was a great speech. I thought it added a lot of value to everything. Everything that he said added value to our meeting, to Toastmasters, to guests. And I think that it would be beneficial at the end of the meeting to maybe get some feedback from some of the other guests so that you can get more enrichment out of it. I agree with you that asking evaluators to come instead of other speakers is great, because then you get feedback, which is how we grow. Another way to do that, and something that you, I think, already do to an extent, is to travel to other clubs. We're virtual now. Maybe that was a blessing of the pandemic, even though we missed that personal connection, because we are typically able to turn around, get on a Zoom meeting, and visit Australia, Japan, anywhere in the world, Britain, Ireland, anywhere, Brazil. We have clubs all over, Canada, Brazil, China, Dubai. We have clubs in Dubai. So why not? I mean, it might mean you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but it'll give you a different perspective for sure. So thank you so much for giving us that wonderful speech. It was very inspiring, and I hope that you will come back again and again, because we adore having you. Thank you so much, Mark. Okay, give me 1 second to write my time down. And then, Maurice, you were evaluating Jackie? Yes?
That's correct. I'm going to jump straight into it. Jackie, I wrote my notes in kind of like air bubbles, but my thought was, how are you making me feel? Because that's about effective coaching, right? So how are you making me feel? And what I heard was you talking about mentoring without having a mentor. And I loved it because there are countless people who I will say I will never know that look for me, look at me in a particular way, and I just won't know it, you know? And so I have to go through life with a certain level of integrity with my actions. And that is exactly, you know, what Linda Barnes, Evelyn Marrero, Mark Williams. I mean, so if you don't know Linda Barnes, and just drop it in the chat, you know, do you know Linda Barnes? You know, just say yes or no, just in the chat. Do you know Linda Barnes? And Stephanie, here's why I'm asking that, okay? Stephanie, if you've ever seen someone who has a flawless presentation, I mean, flawless, like command stage present, like she's the person who is so silent, but she's the silent warrior, like a silent, graceful warrior. That was Linda. And for those of you who know Linda, tell me if I'm wrong, right? That was her.
Okay.
When I think of Evelyn, you know, and you said how she's the hardest Toastmaster anyone knows. I'm like, damn, yeah, you're right. You know, because all of us in this room who knows anything about civil service tests knows the value and the takeaway and the time that requires and the mental, and to say you're going to be contest chair on the same day, come on. Yeah, thank you. You know, thank you. And to Mark, I mean, oh my God, who can't stare if your pants are dropping? I mean, what the hell? All of a sudden you got my attention. I'm like, what? His pants were dropping as you were talking? So excellent use of media. I gave you an example of how you can use the chat box. You can be more interactive. And thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. Now, who was evaluating Liza?
Me.
Okay, so go for it.
And I took it in an entirely different direction for Liza, because Liza, you have an authenticity of love that is, it's transparent to me. And I think anyone who really listens to you can hear the love from your great visual presentation and how you appeared in the box to your how to start by just walking, to my favorite pickup line, and pardon me if you see me, you know, anywhere, but are you an introvert or extrovert? Best pickup line you can ever use anywhere, doesn't matter the situation. Are you an introvert or extrovert? And it automatically, you know, gives this trust that I got from you. So I think, you know, you're just showing up and keep moving. Those two, doesn't matter where you're at in depression, doesn't matter where you are at in anxiety, doesn't matter where you are at in discipline, just show up and keep moving. That's like, I'm at a loss for words at how much of a mic drop that is. And that's why I shared to you in the chat that your speech is going to bring me to tears, because why I run, I think about superheroes and I talk about superheroes a lot. And I think why I run is a speech about being a superhero. And it's about doing better. And it's about showing us how you found your medal. So one of my taglines is, someone is waiting for you to help them solve a problem that uses your superpower. I'm going to repeat that again. I want to make sure you really hear me. Someone is waiting for you to help them solve a problem that is your superpower. What is your superpower, ladies and gentlemen? What is your superpower? For me, I want you to perceive it's the power of speech, impactful, intentional, and loving. One of the things I'll say, ladies, Liza, just in terms of doing better, is to give us a show and tell. I would have loved to see your medal. I would have loved to see what you, like your outfit, what you wore. I would have loved to see a clip to the Channel 7 interview, because we have it, you know. So all of these ways that you could have used this Zoom to up your level of presentation as to iterate the effectiveness of your speech. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Well, so we are at the point now where we will call on our grammarian to give us his report. So Tyrone, can you give us the report of the use of the word and any other grammar that you caught as you were doing your role as a grammarian?
First of all, before I get started, I just want to thank everybody who supported me and this whole group in my last contest. And I'm hoping to get further, keep going up. I'm not done yet. I've only just begun, to compete. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, as far as the word, Lisa and myself are the only one who use it. Congratulations, Lisa. And just off the topic, when Lisa is concerned, that really inspired me because I'm a soccer player and I could run for 2 hours, but trying to run a marathon or run a mile, that was the toughest thing. Until I was full-time in the Air Force, I was running 2.75 miles a day, included in the cold. But I never had a desire to run a marathon. The longest I've run was 5 miles, in one of these charity events. So Lisa, you really, really inspire me. Again, it's funny, I'm a quick dash person, 2 hours of soccer, and you can't barely get me to run a mile. And you run 26 miles, I salute you. So and with that, and again, I'm gonna wind up. At the end, I like to meet the folks. If somebody could introduce me to the guests, I'd very much like to meet them. And of course, another thing is, I'm taking a little bit too much time. Educational director, the director. Who is the educational director? Is Jackie? You're the educational director. Yeah. Oh, you are, Evelyn? Okay, I'll talk to you offline. Again, folks, I really enjoyed this meeting a lot. I didn't really see any particular grammatical stuff. As a matter of fact, I was so glued in all the speeches, that I'm telling you, I'm blown away tonight. Everything was great, so I didn't see anything wrong. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Tyrone. I'm glad we entertained you and that it was a convivial meeting. Thanks for that special word of the day. Our counter, Vicky. Be gentle. Give us your report, please.
I hope you can hear me well. Tyrone, I'm going to disagree with you because there were some other people who used convivial. And those were Tyrone, I'm sorry, that was Mark, Jackie, and Liza, as well as you. You used it twice, but Evelyn used it too. So you're not alone. So now we'll get down to the oohs and ahs. Okay, Mark, I said you did an ah, but actually there was a term of affection that you said. You said ah. So that's really not an ah, but I wanted to give you credit. Okay, Evelyn, you did 3 souls and 1 ooh. Jackie, 1 and 3 This is the bad part. 5 and 1 so. Liza did 1 so and 1 and. Tyrone did 1 Actually, collectively, I'm going to do him. In table topics, he did 1. And he said convivial twice. Stephanie, I think you're ready for your first speech. You said this is your first meeting. I think you're ready for your first speech. I'm very impressed. Your first time, and you said 1 and 1 R. We usually do so many on our first appearance, so you're ready. Pablo, I didn't hear from you, so you get a pass. Okay. Yeah, table topics, I did Tyrone, and I did Stephanie. Okay, I didn't do myself. I gave myself a pass. Okay, Evelyn, evaluations, Evelyn, I didn't detect anything during your evaluations. Maurice, review of Jackie, he said 3 times. That I was concerned about because he normally doesn't do that. And Maurice, 1 and 1 I mean. That's a new one. Thank you. He added a new to it. I mean. And for Liza's evaluation by Tyrone, he did one and one you know. Tyrone with the grammarian, he did 4 ums. I was surprised. And that's it. I was gentle.
Oh, yeah, okay. Listen, it all comes down to this: practice, practice, practice. At my very, 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 very first meeting that we had, it was a demo meeting that we had at the MEA office, and we were blown away by the demo, and we joined. Everybody joined who was at that meeting. It was 25 of us, and 25 of us signed up right then and there. We chartered the club that very night. I went home, I saw a newscast, and all I did was count all the ums, the ahs, the buts. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. These are professionals. They're on TV. But it comes down to practice, practice, practice. During the 3 years that I was part of the trio at District 46, I was so super busy. I wasn't able to attend many of my club meetings. I wasn't able to prepare many speeches, even though I spoke all the time, but I wasn't able to prepare a lot of speeches because I was just really too super busy being in the leadership role. And I realized that I suffered. My speaking definitely, when I started to speak again, the ahs, the buts, the so's, they're back. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Thanks for pointing them out to me, Vicki. All right. My timing report. Mark, 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Jackie, 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Liza, 6 minutes and 3 seconds. So pretty much within the time frame. Table topics. Tyrone, 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Vicki, 1 minute 38. Stephanie, 1 minute 13. Again, well within the time frame. Evaluations, I did 3 minutes and 14. Maurice for Jackie was 2 minutes and 19. And for Liza was 2 minutes and 50. And that concludes my timers report. And I now will give it back to our President Maurice so that he can speak with our guests and introduce them and ask them how they liked our meeting.
Thank you, Evelyn. I have dropped a poll and I'm going to ask everyone to take a minute to just go ahead and answer that. And I'll show the results in a moment. But before I do that, I'm going to ask Stephanie, Pablo, and let's see, we may have the other person, Gray, if you're able to. But let's start with Stephanie, because I can see you. Are you able to come off mute and just tell us how did you think about the meeting and what was it like for you? And is there something you like?
Yeah, this was fantastic. I have been looking for a way to improve my public speaking skills, and a friend told me about Toastmasters. He had done it prior to the pandemic. And so, yeah, I was really excited to join you guys today, and it was fantastic to hear everyone speak, and I really enjoyed. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where'd you hear about us?
A friend of mine, I don't know if he had done it through work, but he actually was a friend's ex-boyfriend. So he's no longer in my life, but
They said go to a specific tip, or they went to tell you to go to the website?
He just mentioned that he had done it and he loved it and he learned a lot from it, and that just always stuck with me in the back of my head. So I was at a point in my life where I felt like this was a skill I really needed to develop, and I remembered the name Toastmasters and just looked it up.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. That helps informs me. I do public relations management. And so, you know, I'm always looking for that type of insight. Pablo, are you able to show yourself and say some kind words of what you thought tonight was like for you? And is this a home that you might want to join, Pablo?
Hey, Maurice. Hey, all. Thank you for inviting me to this call. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm from Colombia, so my main language is not English. I moved to the States like 4 years ago. I was in LA and I recently moved to Brooklyn in February. and I'm a creative producer, a former architect, and I really need to level up my communication skills. Like before going into public speaking, I just need to level up my communication skills, and listening to you all, giving your speeches and your evaluations is very inspiring, because I'm aspiring to speak like you guys. So yeah, I was happy to be here. It's my first Toastmaster ever. I've heard a lot about it, but I applied to several, and this was the first one that replied to me. So thank you for that, Maurice. And yes, I enjoyed a lot. Thank you a lot for inviting me, and thank you all for giving all those amazing speeches.
Thank you. Pablo, where are you at in Colombia? Because this club knows I'm back and forth to Colombia, and I'm actually looking at prices right now. I may come find you sometime soon. Where are you in Colombia?
Right now I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, you're okay. But where do you live in Colombia though? Where'd you grow up?
I was born and raised in Bogota, which is the capital.
Nice.
And people have this image of Colombia as a tropical country, so it's like a warm country, but Bogota is high away in the mountains, so it's a very cold and very rainy city. So it's kind of like the exception in the area. But I can give you all the details and all the tips that you want to go there. It's an amazing place to go. There's so many variety of climate because of the mountains. You can literally do all the plants that you can imagine there. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'll happily guide you to wherever you want to go.
Thank you so much for joining, Pablo. Stephanie and I'm sorry, not Stephanie. Gray, are you able to come off mute if you'd like to share? In the meantime, I hit the button a little bit too soon, but the poll results are being shown for Is Toastmasters for You? Great, there you go. Come on, and we can hear you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am actually a Charter Club member, I think, with Evelyn, I think. I can't remember how long it was, maybe a good 8 years at least. Shernette Newville-Gray, I'm not sure if you recall the name, Evelyn. But this was an exciting meeting. It's nice for me to be in the background and to observe, because yes, I do need all the skills that you guys have mastered. However, I think the work to really put into making myself as effective as you guys have been is a commitment that I prefer to observe from the side. I'm not ready to jump right in, but I am actually really excited that I stumbled on this invitation in my my mail. So thank you. Great meeting.
Thank you so much. That is really helpful. And Tip Toastmasters is open to all members, no matter where you are in your, life or location. So by all means, we are welcome anyone and everyone. And whether you feel that this is a club that you might want to join with someone else, that's also possible. Feel free to bring a friend if you feel like you want to buddy up with someone. I will say, as president, I am looking to do a Speechcraft, which is a 8-session series that will happen either later this month or exactly on January 2nd. Like it's a new year, like absolute. That's my deadline for myself. Okay. Because we've been speaking about this for too long, and I keep, saying, I'm going to do it. And then I never get to it. So my commitment, by January 2nd, hook or crook, we're going to just have a Speechcraft start. So for those of you who are looking for something and it may not be a full Toastmasters, Speechcraft is your other option. Speak to me about it later offline. You know how to find me, and we can definitely make that work. Are there any final thoughts before I turn it to Mark? And I want Mark to close us out. But are there any final thoughts? Anything I didn't say? And I would Evelyn has reminded me that we are meeting on the first Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. And you are welcome to join us at that time using this link. There will be a brand new link for a new account starting all future meetings in 2024. Okay, so we're not using any of these links anymore that you have. Know that the next future link for January is going to be our future link moving forward. Evelyn, please.
I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, or anything in between there, or just that it's a wonderful time to be alive. I just want to wish everyone happiness, health, and blessings to you all. Thank you so much. Mark, the stage is yours.
All right, well, I'll close this out and say this. First of all, Stephanie and Pablo, I'm going to probably speak to you in this closing remark. Welcome to Brooklyn, Pablo. And Stephanie, if there are people who are no longer in your life, you now have a Toastmasters family that has entered your life. And the reason why I direct that to the two of you is because even beyond feedback, the most transformational thing that has happened to me in Toastmasters has been the people that I've met. I have met people who have become club members, yes, but friends more so, and even family. And I'll do a quick plug here and say, if anybody wants to join that community of people who receive my emails, just send me an email and type in the subject line 365. I'll know what that means. And I can put my email in the chat, but it's Mark Williams Speaks. And also, I have to say, because I'm so excited, my good sister Kathy, who I met through Toastmasters, she and I are doing a Speakers Skills Academy, and we're doing a free kickoff event next Tuesday evening, virtual, because I'm in New York and she's in Portland, and exactly what we just heard about. We don't always brush off these skills every time we need them. So it's spreading the Toastmasters joy, and it's spreading the Toastmasters feedback so we can spread the Toastmasters mastery. So welcome to Toastmasters. Happy 2024 to all of you. It has been amazing to be here, and I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thanks for coming, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.